Hey, this is Sam Black, and today I'm going to try out an unusual legacy deck. This was pointed out by Morin Labert on Twitter, who saw it from the result of some leagues as played by Clone9, who I believe is a friend of mine, but due to the naming conventions of the Doppelgang clan on Magic Online, I don't remember who it is exactly. A group of local players created a Magic Online clan where each of them have a different number after the word clone as their Magic Online name, and while I knew them years ago, I'm not sure who Clone9 is right now. Anyway, I believe that whoever that is built this deck, and it's an interesting take on a combination of decks that I've liked in the past. I like the Mox Diamond, Life from Loam, or Crucible of Worlds shell, and I've always been curious about combining it with Emrakul. And this deck is generally doing a bunch of sweet things. So it also has kind of a bit of the Amulet feel in Modern, where it has just an unreasonably large amount of mana very quickly to cast Primeval Titan, although this certainly does that less consistently, and it's less of the primary game plan. This deck is attacking from a lot of different angles and has a lot of play to it on a lot of different axes that I think are pretty interesting. So let's go over some of what's going on here. First, most basically, you have the Cloud Post, Glimmer Post engine to make a lot of mana. And the obvious things to do with that mana are Thought-Knot Seer, Wormcoil Engine, Primeval Titan, and hardcasting Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. Thought-Knot Seer gives you some game against combo decks that land decks in Legacy can traditionally have issues with. So rather than trying to use a pure mana denial strategy with Rishadan Port in those matchups, instead you're just trying to attack their hand and establish a fast clock. You have Crop Rotation to support getting a bunch of posts to make a bunch of mana to cast these big things quickly, but you can also use Crop Rotation for a lot of other purposes. Most obviously is this deck's primary, I imagine, win condition of assembling Dark Depths and Thespian Stage using Crop Rotation and Life from Loam and Crucible of Worlds to find these things together and making whichever legend this thing makes Merit Lage. Making a Merit Lage token and attacking. You also have Expedition Map as redundancy on Crop Rotation in establishing that combination. And of course, Primeval Titan can find Dark Depths and Thespian Stage if that is the threat that you need at the time. We also have the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale and Glacial Chasm as defensive measures that can be found with all of our land searching, as well as just the most basic plan of attacking our opponent's lands with Wasteland or defending from Legends with Crocus. So those are the things that are going on with our lands. And now the other major part of this deck that doesn't exist in a lot of the decks that have some cards in common is a robust Sensei's Divining Top plan. We have a lot of mana to activate Sensei's Divining Top, and through fetch lands and Life from Loam, we have the ability to regularly reset the top of our library, which means that these random one-of threats that we have can be found more easily and can become a real part of what we're doing. And it also helps on establishing combos like Dark Depths, Thespian Stage. So this is an interesting use for top. It also makes it a little bit less awkward to combine Life from Loam with stuff that wants to use our graveyard, and Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, where you might dredge Life from Loam hoping to get some lands back, and dredge Emrakul, and then shuffle the lands that you wanted to get away. When you have Sensei's Divining Top, it's much less likely that you'll accidentally do that to yourself, and instead you get some control over it, and you can potentially take advantage of Emrakul to avoid decking yourself or running out of certain kinds of threats, which is something that I've really wanted to find a way to do, that this deck might be a good way to get at that kind of thing that I haven't found yet. We have Mox Diamond and Exploration to help get off the ground and get our big stuff going and get ahead with Wasteland. And then we actually have main deck removal in the form of 4 Abrupt Decays that can help this deck play more of a fair game rather than just being a mana denial strategy or a big threat strategy. So this deck is really a hybrid between a lot of different things. It can play like an interactive green-black deck, it can play like a mana denial deck, it can play like a ramp deck, and it's really using Sensei's Divining Top to tie all this together and give itself the ability to play the correct one of those games for the matchup that it's playing. In the sideboard, we have 3 Crows and Grip, 2 Pithing Needle, 4 Sphere of Resistance, 1 Zuran Orb, 1 Bojuka Bog, 2 Dismember, and 2 Surgical Extraction. So Sphere of Resistance helps play the mana denial game and shore up our match against Storm. Bojuka Bog gives us some dedicated graveyard hate that we can search for with crop rotation. Zuran Orb gives us some dedicated life gain. Needle is a strong card in Legacy that has a lot of applications. One of the most obvious is against Sneak and Show. It's kind of awkward that we're a Sensei's Divining Top deck, as that's one of the best cards to name, and why Needle is so good against Miracles. We can still use it to fight Planeswalkers there. And it's also good against things like Grindstone, which has a wide variety of applications. Crows and Grip, I assume, is primarily to fight Counterbalance, but does have random other applications. And then Surgical Extraction is additional play against combo decks and graveyard strategies, and Dismember just gives us some more removal to supplement our Abrupt Decays, particularly good against opposing Eldrazi. So that's what's going on here. It's quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing both how well the deck can do these kinds of things, and admittedly how well I can take advantage of all these options, as this is certainly a deck that has an incredible amount of play to it.